Hi, Praise Power Celebration. My name is Hannah, and this is my brother Jonathan Finger. We are the hosts of Quarantine Worship, which is live every Sunday at 7 p.m. We have an Instagram at Quarantine Worship if you'd like to see any other information on what's going on with that. Welcome to our Teen Table Talk, where we gather up a few of our friends to discuss real things that go on in our mind as teen Christians.
We'd like to thank Apostle Weeks for allowing us to share. We'd like to give a huge shout out to our pastor, Dr. Lamont Turner.
Let's get into it. Hi, y'all. Welcome to Teen Table Talk. These are your panelists today. My name is Hannah Finger. I am 15 years old. This is my brother, Jonathan Finger.
Hi, I'm 16 years old.
That's Kelsey Shea. She's 14 years old. Then we have Lauren Carr, who is 17, and Isaiah Robinson, who is 16. So now that you're a little familiar, I'm going to hand it to Lauren with our first topic.
So since we're supposed to be at a table, does everyone have a drink near them, or is that... I'm drinking water. I'm on this little water fast. 3 months strong. What is everyone else drinking?
I have raspberry lemonade, really good, in my little flash mug. Very proud.
Oh, why did I think it was like one of those Jesus cups with like God like on the top?
Okay, please.
I'm drinking fruit punch in my mother's mug. So.
Mother Mary, next.
I'm drinking strawberry milk, also in my mother's mug.
I got water.
Yes. Healthy. Okay. So the first topic, I feel like we should start off pretty smooth going. So I'm gonna go straight into quarantine since that's what we're all in right now. This is probably what's new for everybody right now is quarantine, because usually I know this conference is held in person, but now that we're in quarantine, it's a little kind of rocky, kind of shaky, kind of different. So I want to know how everyone's quarantine's been going so far. It's been like what, 6 months or 7 months? How long has it been?
Almost
It feels like it feels forever.
Whoa.
So.
But
how's everyone's quarantine going? Bad, good. Tell us the good parts. Tell us the bad parts. Explain quarantine.
I'll start. Then I'll pass it to John. Mine's has been going okay. Like in the beginning, we're on a roller coaster right now. In the beginning, it was cool making my TikToks. I was on FaceTime most of the time playing Roblox, and then it went downhill when it got to December because that was my birthday and I couldn't really do much that I wanted to do. I had to do a Zoom party. Tough times, Rona. And then it went up again, which is like around this time because I just got used to it. So it's kind of like good, bad, good. It's kind of like that. But right now it's at an okay state. Still not okay with it, but I got used to it. So, John.
Yeah. I think that's what really happened to me too. Like in the beginning, I was just watching a whole bunch of TikToks, like TikTok left and right, trying to find new Netflix shows and all that stuff like that. And then the summer came around, that was pretty good. And then winter came around. There's right now, like since the last 5 months, you gotta get used to it after a while. So like it's kind of like you adapt to it.
Sad.
But yeah, sad.
So how do you guys feel like quarantine has changed y'all, or like how it's been spiritually, not naturally but spiritually? Anyone else want to answer that besides the two fingers?
Quarantine has changed me spiritually. Because you've gotten more time. We got off of school and we had to do church at home. So you definitely have more time. And spiritually, I've spent that time with God. So my relationship with God is definitely growing and definitely improving. I'm maturing. So yeah.
I would say for me, spiritually, it's been a rocky road. I remember the beginning of quarantine was not that good for me. It was like kind of like, what's happening right now? Like, why are we not in school? Like, this is kind of crazy, bizarre kind of world. And like spiritually, it was just like, I was like, okay, it's just me and God. Especially that was the beginning when we had the online services. And I don't know about y'all, but I was falling asleep through every single service. I could not stay up for the life of me. I was like, this is not okay. So that was like the only time I was going to church is online services, and I was like not even staying up for them. So like me and God were just like not at it at that time. But through it, I like just learned how to work for myself, learning that, okay, no one's going to make me pray today. No one's going to make me say, hey, we got to go to do this, or we have to go do that today. So you had to do it all by yourself. And it's kind of peaceful when you like know that you worked for that relationship with God. It's kind of like, wow, we really just did that. Like, it's kind of cool. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster. Right now, me and God just chilling, living our best lives together. But it's been pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, same. For me too, because I feel like at the beginning of quarantine, along with my sleep schedule, my whole like school and grades were just plummeting. They were terrible. But I feel like now, especially because I feel like they went up with like the time I spent home. I feel like I gathered around my schedule better. Not because I was mostly home anyway because I was homeschooled, but I feel like it's gotten better. I don't know how that happened because we stay home, but like it just feel like it got better, and especially my relation with the Lord, like He's really shown Himself to me, especially with my little quarantine worship stuff. He's really like shown Himself, and I feel like with the pandemic, that's like definitely a highlight that the Lord has definitely like kind of shown Himself more to me because before that I wouldn't like give Him no mind. I wouldn't this is kind of exposing, but I wouldn't really pay attention to Him. I wouldn't really give Him time of day. I would do my own thing. So this kind of like locked me down to say, hey, you have nothing else to do. You have to like read your Bible, you know? And that worked out for the better.
So for me, I feel like more so for me, each year I do kind of grow. So I don't know if I can really attribute that to quarantine or not. But I would say I've grown spiritually more since like, like there really is no excuse. You have a whole bunch of time on your hands. You have more time to pray, more time to read the Bible, more time to do all type of other things like that. But yeah, I just been kind of growing in that kind of area, and I'm still trying to grow. But yeah, we're still rocking with it.
Okay, Isaiah, we can start with you for this one. But what's something you've learned about yourself over quarantine?
Mm, um, I've learned that I need to be more forgiving. I've been forgiving a lot of people lately, and that's a good thing. But it's a steady process, and I've also learned that there's a process due to everything you do. So just don't skip ahead or try to find the shortcut. You got to keep going, and you got to stay on the trail. You got to stay steady and be encouraged. And encouragement is probably the biggest thing I've learned this year because a lot of people that were doing the quarantine stuff, it was hard for all of us. And if we were encouraged, or if most of us were encouraged, it would be like, yeah, we got this now. We can do it now. So I think the encouragement was the biggest part to learn to everybody that I also needed encouragement as well. Some people think of me as the Christian guy, and that's what most of us are in our schools. But we need encouragement too, and it's like, who do we run to when we need encouragement? So, encouragement is the biggest part, I would say. I learned this year.
Tying into that, I don't know if someone's about to go, but that's been like one of my biggest things because at the beginning of quarantine, it was like all your friends were like mainly, at least for people who went to public school, your main friends were like your school friends, and you had like a couple like church friends here and there. But slowly and slowly, as you kept going more and more into quarantine, like all your school friends started drifting away. We were talking to them like a lot less and less and less and less than this. Where for me, it was like I wasn't even talking to school friends at all. Like to this day, I barely even talk to them. And then it was like, okay, so who am I going to talk to now? So I had to like build a really strong friendship group around people who I've always known my whole life. I've always been friends with my whole life. Like I had to build that strong connection with them because at that point, I didn't have any more people at school telling me, "Hey, Lauren," or stuff like that, or just talking to me on a daily basis. I had to find like actual people who are spiritually well to give me that daily motivation to say, okay, like even though this day is rough, we're gonna get through it. Like even though this day seems a little crocky or crazy, or you're like on cloud 0, 50, I don't know what number it is, you're gonna get through it. It's gonna be okay. And just that motivation. So that's one of my biggest things that I've learned about myself, that I've learned how to be more accepting of people and more open to people. Just admit when I'm like, okay, I'm not having a good day today, or just admit when I'm down or when I'm falling. Because I feel like usually before the quarantine, I was just like, I got this all. Like I'm this tough girl. Like who's gonna break me now? So it's been like a really good like breaker moment for me, at least for friendship wise, and trying to make friends, being more vulnerable and honest with people.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
But speaking of friendships, we're gonna go into friendships. How do you guys feel like you can make a healthy friendship, or the recipe for a healthy friendship? What do you guys think that is?
But I feel like for me to start a healthy relationship is kind of like you gotta find common your common interests first of all, like, oh hey, we have that in common, that's cool, like that. But even where you don't have in common, kind of like find to a point of agreement, like, oh, that's an interesting point of view. Because to be honest, your friends, you can have somebody who's just like you, and that's cool and all, like, hey, you're just like me, you're just like me, I'm just like you, like that. You can have somebody like that.
Okay.
But to have somebody who has like different perspectives and different point of views and like, you know, intakes on different things, then that really challenged you to open up your like point of view of everything. Like, oh, I never thought of it that way, you know, and it kind of challenges you and you're both feeding off of each other. And I feel like that's another thing. And to also like share and talk to each other, that's also growing a friendship. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I feel like that's also something to grow a friendship, is just communication, first of all. Like, yeah.
Yeah, completely.
I would say to have a healthy friendship, I think it's really important to be able to listen and to be able to open yourself up to like listening to other people's sides and other people's opinions and stuff. Because you really like when you make a friend, you're really opening yourself up to a different mindset and stuff like that.
Wow.
Like, you know, you're opening yourself up to their point of view and hearing their opinions and stuff like that. And it's really easy. And another thing I probably learned too is to like, I don't know. I guess I probably learned to like more talk to people, not talk to people, but like open myself up to people. Cause like it can't be just a one-sided friendship where you're like doing all the work and like the other, like one person doing all the work and you're not doing nothing, you're not giving anything back. Like you can't be all dry like okay or something like that.
Tell them.
To put some effort into it, so
Yeah.
put some strength into it. It has to be a mutual friendship. It can't be one-sided.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. My biggest things with friendship is one, communication. Like if I don't understand what you're thinking, and you're not, if like we're not being open, completely honest with each other, how like what are our friendship is basically based off of like facades and mask and faking this and faking that. My life is perfect, your life is perfect. Let's just all pretend together, type of vibe. Also, if it's not 100% both ways, if I'm being completely transparent, completely giving you my all, giving you everything I have into our friendship to make it work throughout the tough and good times, and you're giving me completely nothing, what kind of friendship is that? Like, it's just like, okay, someone has enough pride for them. Like it's just, it feels like it's not a charity case. Like it's a, we're working together, exchange. Like I give you something, you give me something back, type of
Yeah.
thing. Um. Also, I think just finding for a healthy friendship, just learning the other person as well as you know yourself. In sense that I know how I am, I know what makes me not the best friend and what makes me a really good friend. And so utilizing those good parts of me and trying to take away the bad parts. Not saying that my personality is bad in a sense, but it's just like not the person to do that around with. Just knowing what your person likes, what they don't like, what they need, what they don't need, and utilizing that to your best ability with your friends. When you have a best friend, it's a different case because they're usually just like all of it. But with friends, just utilizing what parts they like and what they don't like, and just creating that strong bond, is definitely what I would say.
Yeah.
Anyone else on this topic?
I have
Oh,
one
go
thing
ahead.
to say. Oh, sorry. I feel like if you don't know yourself through and through, like, okay, I don't want to say completely because there's always parts of ourselves that we don't know. But I feel like if you don't know yourself to a point, you're not gonna be that good friend because I feel like you need to know your self-worth. Like, honey, you need to know where something crosses the line. You need to know all that. And I know it's kind of like, what? This is friendship. It's bland. You just find a friend off the street. Come on. But no, you need to know like things. If something does cross the line, you need to know where you both say, okay, let's talk about this. Because you are going to be fake and put a mask on and all that stuff if you're not going to set boundaries, or if they're not going to set boundaries. And yeah, that won't be good at all. At the end of the day, y'all be mad and be like, this her, forget her.
Speaking of that, what do you guys think are the red flags for toxic friendship? Like big clear signs. Hey, get out of that friendship right now. It's going somewhere like you don't want to be. What do you guys think is the big signs for that?
I think peer pressure is the biggest one.
Mm.
When they are pressuring you to do
Oh,
stuff you do
wow.
not want to do. And
If
you
it's bad peer pressure, there's a good thing of good peer pressure. Bad peer pressure,
Mm-mm.
don't want it.
For real. And they're like constantly telling you like do this, do that, and you say no, and they're like, well, what's up? Like that. So trying to convince you, it's like, bro, like what? But for me, a toxic trait, I feel like, because I've had a couple friendships like this where they expect something from you, but they don't give you the same type of energy. Like
Tell
for real, they expect you like, oh, I want you to treat me this way, text me first, or FaceTime me when I'm in
yeah.
a bad mood and do like this. But then when it comes to you, it's like, oh, ghost mode, where am I? And they don't give that same.
Right.
So I feel like that's toxic, and my energy, I just don't feel like that. So once I see that, I'm like, I got to go, and I'll be like, see you later.
Yeah, it'd be like one of those situations where that person always be coming to you crying, but when you go to them, they're like, "Why are you so dramatic? It's not a big deal."
Bro.
for real. But they got all these problems, and when you got a problem, they can't even listen to it. Shoot.
For real. People are so crazy.
I do have one, and it's feeling like you're not being heard. Like I feel like easily in a relationship, especially when you're not talking face to face, because we all got smartphones, we all can text. But I feel like not being heard, because you could be like talking and like you're trying to say your side, and like the next text they send, they're like saying all this stuff. I'm like, did you not read what I just said? I feel like, whoa, hold it back. Wait, reverse. Read that through again. Because I could be like, excuse me, but yeah, just not being heard. That's very.
Yeah. That makes me upset.
I feel like one is where you can't be emotional with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if it's just
For real.
talking all day, and talking's okay, but if there's no emotion in the friendship or the conversations you have, I feel like that friendship will go nowhere at all. So
Yeah, because it's not built on the foundation.
I think one that I've like come to terms with, like, okay, if this is like not where the friendship's at, then we're not having it. But if I feel like it's like beating off of why did I say beating off of? Feeding off what Isaiah said with the vulnerability. If there's judgment with it, I'm like, I don't know, I feel a little sketch with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? That it feels like if I'm saying something, if I'm being vulnerable with you and I'm saying it and you're like what I just said earlier, you're being so dramatic or something like that, or like, what are you talking about? Like, no one just goes through those things. Like, if I don't know, I feel like if there's judgment in it and you're being passive aggressive, like, those type of beep, I just like feel like, I don't know, it just like doesn't feel like right for me. It just feels like a big red flag and whatnot.
Yeah.
When is it the right time to start dating? Do you think there's a set age where someone is ready to date? Do not think so. I feel like some people might think there's a set age because when we look at some people we know, like, they're too young to start dating or something like that, stuff like that. So I feel like there's a set age that no one wants to talk about. But what do you guys think is the right time to date?
Okay. So to my mom, if you ask my mom, she would be like, 35. You have to wait till you're 35 to start dating. I'm like, whoa. I want no, thank you. But I feel like, honestly, I know everybody says this and they're like, no time, when you're ready, but I'm kind of gonna say that, but in a twist. I feel like when you're ready and when you have the right relationship with God, you can start dating. Because if you're just like praying, like pushing God to the side for a relationship, that's no. You should not be in a relationship if you're doing that. Also, like, if your relationship is not right with God, you should not be in one. Be in a relationship with somebody else, because you need someone and you need to love God more than you're gonna love your significant other. It's just point blank period. That just needs to be said. And if you want to have a godly relationship, that's gonna be needed. So I feel like it's good to wait until your relationship with God is on point.
Mm-hmm. I feel like for me, this may be like hard for some teens, but I would say like when God says you're ready, and sometimes the Lord doesn't speak to people in like clear voice, like, "Hey, you're ready, start dating now." No, He'll like do it in different forms, like maybe send signs or whatever. It may not be that clear, but I feel like whenever God says you're ready, because I feel like I wouldn't know myself, because I feel like some people find their like soulmate or whatever when they're like 15 or 10 or 9 or whatever, and it's just they find them. But I feel like with God, if He has that person for you and He already made them and stuff like that, then He'll send it when He knows you're ready. And for that, you kind of just got to build that talking point with Him, that prayer relationship and all that stuff, so you can hear Him when He's ready to tell you that. Because you don't want to just pick up some random guy from the streets or some random girl. You know, you don't want to set yourself up for that, get caught up with the wrong people, which is why you got to build up your relationship with God, because He'll have all that amazing stuff planned out for you. And that's something I recently learned, because I would just find this stuff out for myself. But I feel like with God, He'll have something amazing better for you, who like completely pairs with you perfectly, the perfect person. And so I feel like that you just have to, whatever God says you're ready is when you're ready. But yeah. You have anything?
Oh, sorry. I feel like it is a lot of factors into it. So I won't say there is an age, because for real, some people are 20 and they are not ready to date. Some people are 30 and they're not ready to date. And there's human at the same time. Some people are 15 and they might be ready to date. Or some people are like 16 or 17 and they might be ready to date. It's not an age set to it. It's different factors that play into it if you're ready. Because first, you have to make sure that your relationship with God is on point. You got to make sure that you're okay in that situation. Make sure you're good in all those areas. Make sure you're loving God more than you love your significant other spouse. You got to make sure that you're actually ready for it. Don't listen to like somebody they're saying, "Oh yeah, you should date this guy. You should date this guy." Not your peers saying, "Oh, you should date this guy. You should date this guy. You should date this girl." Or like the guy or girl telling you, "Oh, you should date me. You should date me. You should date." That shouldn't play into it. You should check inside yourself and see if you're ready enough and you're able enough. Like if you're ready or you want this for yourself. And then another thing is you have to be mature. Like you have to you have to see in yourself. If you're not mature enough for a relationship, then you don't need to be in one. You need to check yourself first and see if you're mature enough to see if you can handle a relationship. But yeah.
One thing I would say about it, definitely, it's like a lesson that I had to learn myself many occasions, is that when I would like push myself like to be extra good or extra Christian just to get some person to notice me, or like, and I would like go out my way and be like basically a simp, as people would say, to like just be noticed by somebody. God told me one time that He was like, don't worry about, or don't try to go looking for somebody. You keep worshiping me like you do. You keep doing what you do for me like you do, with only the intention of me seeing you and only the intention of me noticing you. And then I'll send someone your way that's going to be in awe of the way that you worship me, not the way you worship anybody else. So you keep worshiping me behind closed doors. You keep doing everything that you do. Keep reading your Bible for me and me only. And then I'll send somebody your way. Because you're not going to love anybody else if you don't know how to love God just as much, or just even more. Because if you don't have that love for God all the way up here, you're not going to be able to love anybody like that. So that's something that I've learned myself, that learn how to worship God and He'll send you someone your way. Learn how to love God and He'll make someone love you that way.
That's a word. That is a very great word. Wow, Lauren, what you just said is powerful. I gotta get over it. I'm sorry. That's powerful.
God, He really be speaking. It's hard. There's so many times where God just like, Lauren, hey, let's just talk real quick, because you acting a little sus lately. But
I like what you said, but you had said something close along the lines of this. Worship me and I'll put somebody in your path. That's something I had to learn as well, because we all get lonely at times, especially in this quarantine. We've all felt lonely.
You see these TikToks and relationship TikToks, and you start thinking, "Oh, I want that too."
Yes, sir. But like, hard for us because, like, as Christians, most of us we see as our role leaders. Most of them are either happily married or they're happily single, and we're like, "How y'all get happily single?" And as far as us as being quarantines and teenagers and stuff like that, we have to learn that the Christians are happily single because they're content and they're happy with God's love. So I feel like maybe if we're happy with God's love first, he'll probably place somebody else in our path while we're walking along this straight and narrow path. Thank you, Lord. While we're walking on this straight and narrow path, he'll place, as us brothers say, he'll place a body. He'll place a body right there in front of your path. And that way you guys walk together on that straight and narrow path. Whew, thank you, Lord. That's a word.
What it is.
I'm preaching today.
Okay, next question is, can you date to convert? How do you guys feel about that? Date to convert. I'll give my opinions on it first if anyone wants to give a second to think about it. For me personally, if you want to convert someone to Christianity because you like their personality and you want to date them, do you really have the right intentions? Is my question. Like, are you trying to convert them because you want to date them and you like their whatever they got going on, or you want to convert them because you're trying to save them and make them go to heaven? So first off, question your intentions, because that's the biggest thing. 2, I would say, if you want to get them into church, do it while you're their friend. Do it while you're doing that, because then you can really learn and really save yourself some heartbreak if it doesn't work out, and save yourself some real pain if it doesn't work out. So I would always say do it before you're a friend, and make sure your intentions are in the right place. That are you doing it for that person, or are you doing it for yourself? So you can have like some eye candy, or you're doing just, won't be single anymore. Like, who are you actually doing it for? Because usually if you have the wrong intentions with it, it never works out for your good. So it's always, I don't say date to convert. I say bring your friend into church, because that's what everyone likes to do. Bring your friend into church. Discipling is the biggest thing. But that's my opinion on it.
I want to piggyback off of what Lauren said. Off of, do you have the right intentions? Do they have the right intentions? Are they just getting converted into your church because they want to date you? You're like, no, I don't date people that aren't Christian. Are they gonna convert just to date you? Because that's not, their mindset's not gonna be set on God and I want salvation. Their mindset's gonna be on, I want to marry you, I want to date you, and that in the long run that probably won't work. So
yeah,
What they said.
okay. I don't know, I'm trying to think, because like I feel like if some people, if they're like, if somebody's into you and you're into them or whatever, and they're like, oh, I can't date you because I'm Christian, I can't date nobody like that's outside of the church, whatever like that, and they're like, oh, if you need me to go to church, I'll go to the church, and then they like go to the church for you. I don't know if they can, like, I'm confused on that part, because I don't know if they can be saved from that, saved with intentions to like, oh, if I gotta be the Christian guy for your parents to accept me, then I'll become Christian. But would the Lord work in that way to kind of like make you saved? Because honestly, the Holy Ghost comes from him. It's a gift. That's what people say all the time. And it truly is a gift. So will the Lord bless you with a gift because like, oh, I'm not giving my heart to God because I'm finding him. I'm giving my heart to him because this girl wants me to, because her parents don't want me if I don't want you, like that. So that was a little confusing. I actually wrote like a little book or whatever about that, but it wasn't like it wasn't like a book. But I was like, that's kind of funny. I don't know. I was thinking about it. I was like,
I feel like with that, I think. Wait, I low-key forgot what I was gonna say. But I think with that, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's about your intention. Like what Kelsey and I was trying to say is that if a guy is going to church, or like, I'm doing it for her, I'm doing it like I'm just gonna go to church, God's not going to give you. If you guys think about every time you guys got the Holy Ghost, God didn't give it to you because you wanted someone else to get it, like someone else wanted you to get it. He only gave it to you because you wanted that gift. You wanted it. That I've heard this analogy so many times about, oh, the Holy Ghost is like a present. You're not going to take the present because someone else wants you to get it or something like that. You might do it, but like it's not going to mean a lot to you. But you take the present because you want the present. You want to see what's inside of it. You want it yourself. So I feel like with that, God knows where you're, like, why you're here, what you're doing, and what your intentions are. So I feel like if it's not for him, for his glory, for him to get the praise, and it doesn't really count because you're just like are you just gonna you're just gonna convert because someone else wants you to do it. Like I don't know. It feels a little sketch to me.
Well, some people, sorry, I don't know if it's extending the conversation, but some people, they like,
Oh.
whether it's like a friend or someone they're interested in, they'll bring somebody to church, like, oh, hey, you want to come to church? And they're like, all right, I'm down, with no like Christian background or whatever. But then they end up liking it, and then something comes out of it, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, what is this? This is crazy. This is nice. Like that. So sometimes
That's what
it
I
doesn't
say.
work out.
Yeah, do it as a friend first because then there's no behind intentions between it.
Yeah.
The last question about for relationships is how do you set boundaries in a relationship and what boundaries should be set? So, two-part question. How do you set boundaries in a relationship and what boundaries should be set?
I'll start with this one because I like this one. When you should talk about boundaries is when you're dating. I mean, of course, when you get married, and if you're dating to marry, you find something new about the person every day you're together. But as you're dating, when you're in the beginning, you should tell them what is off limits and what is not off limits, what they can do and what they shouldn't do, what they will do and what they won't do. I mean, it might sound a little controlling, but at the same time, this is your life you're putting on the line as well. You're not just in their life and you're not just in your own life. You're coming together to make one life. So you have to be careful of what boundaries you set as well, because some things you say off limits might be a little extra. Like if you tell them not to touch your laptop, what you mean? A laptop is just a laptop unless you're doing something on that's you're not supposed to be doing. But you ought to set boundaries when you're first getting together. And what was the second question? I forgot that one.
What boundaries should be set?
Bam, that was a great one. First, I'm gonna dive right into it. Sex should be the first boundary. Look, we're just dating. We should not be doing this right now. I think we should do this a little farther down in the relationship. If we can, I would like to wait till we're married. Second, schoolwork or time. Hey, this is the certain amount of time I can put with you and forth for you. So you got to tell them like, hey, I'm not free right now, or I won't be free during this time. I was watching Kamala Harris, our vice president, in her husband's love story, and he was talking about how he said he sent her his schedule about when he was free and stuff. You might not see that as a boundary, but he was telling her like, hey, I'm free on these days, and these days are my boundaries. These days are the days I'm working. These days are the days I'm working. So you want to make sure you set the boundaries when you're first in the beginning of the stage. When you're in the beginning of this first stage, you're dating and you're talking. Set those boundaries now.
Yeah. Cause then you don't want to be overwhelmed trying to make this person happy, and then like all your stuff come crumbling down. You know, stack.
You try to mess around and go with the flow.
Yeah. And you
or
get
especially
annoyed.
oh,
I was just saying, you could get annoyed, but like you didn't make the boundaries, so that's on you.
especially in some cases you can become overly obsessed with that one person. If there's like no time boundaries being set, you want to spend every single second, every single hour of every single day talking to them, and then when it ends you're looking crazy because that person became your whole life in that 2 weeks of you dating or talking to them, and then you're left confused and left with like no solution because you gave all that time and energy into that one person without any boundaries being set. So I think that's one big boundary. Does anyone else have any like specific boundaries you guys think should be set? Go ahead, John. I see you.
I say that time thing is important because there's like a point where you cannot spend every single second of every single day with them. You gotta spend some of that time with the Lord and your Bible and praying. Shoot, you gotta develop your relationship as you're developing your other relationship. You gotta develop both relationships. You gotta keep it steady. If you can't balance that, then you don't need to be in one. And then like another time, like a important thing about boundaries, you have to see inside yourself and make sure inside yourself what are you comfortable with and what are you not comfortable with. And when you are seeing that you are not comfortable with something, make that known. You can't be shy like, oh, but maybe he wants to do it or maybe she wants to do it. No, you get comfortable inside yourself. You can't be doing stuff that you are not comfortable with. And you cannot, an important thing too, you have to make sure that the other person is fine with you dating until not dating, having sex until you are married. Because if they are keep pressuring you, like,
get out of there.
For real.
that's
And another thing I want to add on to it is like, however old or young you are with like a job or school, you don't want to like make that like they shouldn't be more important than getting your education and schoolwork, because y'all gonna be homeless together, living together. Because if you're trying to like build up education, how are you gonna be like, oh, I'm so stressed with my schoolwork, and then be like, stress, I'm gonna go to her house or go to his house? Like that's canceling each other out, and it's making it worse. And especially with some of y'all older ones and me trying to get my own job or whatever like that, but y'all trying to get your job, you don't want to be like, oh like that, like, should I go to work or today, or should I like hang out with her and maybe go on a date, make her feel special? She has to understand that too, or he has to understand that too, that you're trying to build yourself up so you can have a career.
Right.
Like,
I feel like there's been so many times in school where I be seeing this couple that be hanging out 24/7, and as soon as they break up, they be eating lunch by themselves. I'm like, y'all are looking like clowns. Why would you make them go their entire life?
And that's another thing too with like Christian, like relationships, like one guy or girl being Christian, the other person being not. Cause myself, babe, why aren't you spending enough time with me? Why are you all your time praying with the Lord and stuff like that? Like, if they can't understand, you got a relationship with the Lord, then
it's time to go.
Also, I would say for just learning how to say no is like the biggest thing, like biggest help in boundary setting. Because I know for me, I would be like, oh, if I tell them no, they're gonna not like me anymore, or they're gonna like not want to talk to me anymore, or like they're just gonna like break up with me. Like it's gonna be like my whole life will be over if I tell them no. So I would always like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Like even if I didn't want to, like, oh yeah, sure, I'll be that girl. And like it takes you places where you don't want to be. So like saying no is like, even though it sounds mean, it's the biggest help you will ever find. Learning just to find that strength to tell someone no. And also finding someone who's on your same level as Christianity as you. I mean, I'm not saying like they can't be like, oh, a little bit better than you or like a little stronger, or like I'm just saying not to be unequally yoked. Like how we were talking about convert to date, whatever. Not they can't be unequally yoked. Y'all gonna be on the same level where y'all understand. Okay, we've got to work together to get our relationship with God as where it should be. Like you should be motivating me, and I should be motivating you together. And we should be this Christian power couple. Like we shouldn't be slacking on each other like that.
Right. Like, hey babe, where's your Bible plan at? Hey babe, you Bible
For real, you guys should be doing Bible plans together in the U version. Y'all should be doing those little Bible study days together. I should see you guys at every single Zoom Bible study thing. I should see you guys. And that's just what it is. So the next question, we're gonna talk about insecurities, because I feel like that's a big topic that everyone can relate to. I'm gonna try to get all the relatable topics out there first. So what do you guys feel like is your biggest insecurity as Christians or as teenagers, as whatever you want to say? If mine might be as a Black girl, or as whatever you guys want to use, as a girl, as a guy, biggest insecurities, any type of stereotypes that you just feel like, man, why does it have to be this way? Like anyone.
For me, I would like to go first. For me, I would say a biggest insecurity of mine is, I told this to some of y'all, is like my sociability, because I feel like I'm so socially awkward, and then I feel like I'm not a bad person. I feel like I'm pretty cool. Hype myself up, but I feel like people don't get that, because what I project is like, oh, like, oh, what, like that, like my social, it's I literally suck at it. And then another one, maybe like my spirituality, like insecurity, is that when I pray, I feel like my prayers, because I'm